the moral responsibility, our duty of care, my dear students. Of course, this is our life. This is our soul into the works that we will provide. But you have to remember, even Louis Hahn said, this is I'm holding a stone. He said, even the bricks want to be something. As you can see, from time to time, from one episode of life to one episode of life, and all the evolution of architecture approach has been given. The creativities behind it, the culture approach, the technologies, bioclimatics, even our needs to prove our architecture behind. So I have to respect these materials, the way we touch, the way we look, the way we see are different, the way I hear or listen, the way we spell it. Think about the approach of universal design that kept telling us what is architecture all about, especially for these materials. We have to living hand to hand. We cannot work alone. We have to work as a team. And of course, the material itself have to work hand to hand to the other materials. Steels, glass, aluminiums, and many more. And we make miracle behind it. And start to think, can we make a magic of these materials? That's why I have to respect this. And the chair provided is not for me to sit. It's to show a symbol looking to the east. And of course, a symbol of love. As you can see, the evolution from time to time, from stone to glass and the aluminiums. We, as a person with a skill and knowledge, we use our technology today. And what I'm trying to say to you, think beyond, because we are ready for a new technology coming to us, especially your generations. Holograms will come towards. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it's up to our perceptions. Are you ready for that? By a touch screen and can produce our design by fingertips. My dear students, fellow architects, are we going to be constrained to our materials? Think and keep asking ourselves. Because people like Albert Einstein said, the more I study science, the more I believe in God. And of course, Mahatma Gandhi said, the future depends on what we do in the present. Now is the future. So my presentations, it sounds skeptical, I understand. So I love to share that what happened to Alexander Graham Bell, the moment when he said to the people that time, he said, I'm going to innovate one technology can talk to people miles away. But how people respond at this moment to him? Are you crazy? Are you dare to do this kind of technology? And see what happened today in your pockets. What are you holding now? It's an important needs and essential in our life. This is a telephone, the earliest telephone. Can you imagine that? The way it looks. But somehow rather the evolutions keep changing from time to time and adaptations from one creativity to one creativity, it becomes simple. And it becomes smaller. And it becomes more complex. So that's why I'm trying to share to you. Design is where science and art will bring even. It becomes balanced. Well, as fundamental for architecture, we, an artist, and of course, we are scientists. Don't forget the fundamentals about our design principles. We have to go back to basics and adapt all this what we learned to improve our skill. And of course, the movement of our life to one episode. Architecture is about people. It's about to society. Think, what happened to the people that cannot see? Or even the way you look, or even the way you listen, or even the way you hear it, touch it, feel it, smell it, or even taste it. Now we're talking about the stone. During those days, the way how we feel the stone. As you can see, those centuries, the way people living in the cave as a society, and of course, to living in this life. And this what we call technology by stone. And keep thinking, the movement of design, creativity by selection of stones, is it going to be very essential in our life? Varieties of stones, even we as a human being, varieties of colors, culture, the way we walk, the way we eat, the way we stand, the way we speak, the way we think. Stones giving you questions to ask, and stones will give you an answer, because it's an enlighten our life, giving a spark, putting our language information towards to the stones of skin, telling you stories, the way we communicate. This is the way how we interpret our language. As you can see, architecture, the earliest part of architecture life, is a shelter without any sentiments of our skill and knowledge or design even, but just go back to the basic. How grateful is stone telling us is a need. Even now, if you go to any third world country, they still appreciate this material and give a lot of mysterious myth story behind that. Even cartoon, of course, to adapt. Anybody seen Flintstones? It's not jokes, but you know how they created the interior spaces of these materials. How beautiful it is. It's truly pure and giving you 1,000 answers to adapt it. And then playing technologies, playing with lights. Even last night I went to Jaipur cities with my friends. So marvelous, beautiful, with the lighting motion towards the facades of the buildings. And of course, don't you realize these materials is a part of medication? It can become a meditation in our life, reflexology, the way we walk. And of course, the magical about these materials can be reduced to our biological as a human being. Think, use it, how potential of these materials. It will reflect to our life. And there's so many reasons that stone is a part in our life. It's a symbiosis. My dear students, fellow architects, nature telling us something here. How beautiful it is with these materials. Giving you an answer that we need to find the questions. How we want to use this? Because God telling us something here. The beauty of these materials and the beauty behind of these materials, of these stones. It can be standalone, together with the other natures. This combination of other natures, water, or plants, is totally symbiosis, especially for these spaces. And play around with these elements is a part of meditation. Because we as an architect, we design a space to people and creating a space to adjust our atmospheres, behaviors of the people. Think about it. How can make a beautiful features into it? Miss DJ, another song? Continue the song? Because we need to feel it. By talking about stone, it can bring balance. And of course, a creativity comes along. Play with nature. Keep playing with nature. And it sounds impossible to go beyond. To go beyond. To go beyond. We as an architect, as an artist, play around with nature. We can make it very smooth texture, or even you want to rough texture, make it balance into it, and become a story behind it. The way you organize the texture of stones, mix up with colors, and we can put into our touch into it and play around with texture. How we adapt it. Make fun with it. Colorful with life. And make sure you love these materials. Because what I'm trying to share with you, architects, we have a soul into it. And then you portray it into these materials. It's impossible to make a stone to be floats on the air against gravity. It's in arts the answer. Again, I ask you, the way you see are different the way you look. I leave it all other speakers today and tomorrow to share their adaptation of designs, but I'm standing here to make you awake how to utilize these materials. Because soon, like I would like to echo our keynotes today, Architect Lily Chan's, he give you a very good awakeness to creativity about stones. Stones with soul. When you, whatever you touch, whatever you draw, try to adapt into stones. It's nothing is impossible. Truly nothing impossible. People said, yeah, you will be constrained when you try to choose particular of these materials. And our clients start to ask us why we need to be limitation of these materials. But for me, I love to say limitation will encourage creativity. Can you imagine that how you mix up with other materials against it or adopt it? People will craft it. The way you see, the way you look, the way you touch, the way you feel, the material itself various color, variety, different texture. You can make or anything you want, but it's up to us to adapt it into our creativity. Because nature already tells us how beautiful of these materials. You play around all to adapt with nature, including our technology. Is it possible to say to make a stone floated against gravity? Beyond imagination that you prove it. The way we sketch from our papers, from the pencil that you hold it, grow away to the reality of space, to adapt the lighting effects. I want you to feel how the space looks like. Use your imagination. With all these images, to creating a space, a different way how to creating your design. You play around with lights, motions, and give a sense of this quality of these materials. Shadow casting, the line of the shadows, perhaps, or maybe you can use artificial lightings. The way you organize your materials, play around with nature, and make more secretive into it. The way we think is the way how we talk without any voices, without any written into it, but how you adopt into it to use these materials. Look and see and feel with nature. The way we craft your building construction way. Yeah, architects cannot work alone. Even materials also cannot work alone. You have to be in concept of symbiosis, shadow casting, the crafting from our skilled workers. What I'm trying to say is, please respect to the hand that can create this kind of space. Because we architects put away our egos, put away our thoughts that we think that we are the one who creating a space with these materials. But don't forget, who is the builders? Who is the expert into it? Pardon me, I consider myself as an architect, but I'm not the expert into it. To build to scale 1:1. And imagine that get crafted, these materials floats on the air. It looks like it. The way you see, the way you feel, the way you touch to this texture. Imagine about universal design. A person cannot see it, a blind, or even a deaf cannot hear the quality of these materials. But how to adapt it, make people like this can feel it into our space that you created. Don't go so egoistic to up away to this, but make it balanced that nature already tells us is always balanced in this life. Play around with nature. Shows many images that you can go away, go beyond to adapt these materials. I want you to relax, sit down, set positive mindset, gain positive energy, because from us to portray, to frame it, these materials with our positive energy. The way you craft it into the stones, or even you can illuminate these materials. Go beyond with our technologies. Is it impossible to do this? To enlighten these materials, illuminate it, make it float, feel the wind, and make it the sounds We're colorful of stones. You decide. Make it colorful of stones. Go and find and ask to nature how to portray this adaptation, stone, and become beyond it. It become illuminated. This is the beauty of these materials, my dear students. It symbioses and make it a symbol of our architecture. The way you mix it, the way you play around with the design, the way you organize your ornaments, play around and tell people how to perform these materials with the levelings to show the texture of the highest or even lowest, to portray the hierarchy of these materials, and play around with the lights during the day, how it looks like, or adapt with the shadow casting. Because I'm trying to say to you, my dear students, we're not creating a design here. We're creating a space. Play around with depths, and then things can go beyond. Illuminate these materials. Illuminate it. The way you organize your forms, and go beyond together with technologies. Is it possible to enlighten the stones to become a part of our design? Think beyond, my dear. Think beyond. Because materials like stones is totally magical. You can go beyond about texture, about colors, illuminated. This is one of the examples, like maybe it's ceramics, but I can tell the stones can be adapted with this kind of design. It's a green building's input. Only 1 or 2 points of lighting can illuminate it to one features of walls. People done this. Illumination bricks, translucent bricks can adapt it and can be a part of our design into creating a space. Creating a space. This is what I'm trying to say, what Louis Hahn tried to say, even though he's praised to sell bricks want to be something. Want to be something. Together with the influence of water elements, reflections. Think and can adapt. How beautiful to adapt water reflections. Can make a different kind of space to change our mood, or even change our behavior, or even prisma approach. Crystals can evaluate the scientific of reflections. Or maybe perhaps you can play around with other materials like mirrors, can creating more space to our materials. Reflections, and can change people's sentiments of life. Maybe perhaps you can think beyond about technology. Parametric design doesn't mean that can stop while using stones materials to limit your approach, but you can make a texture, a motion to that move forwards and tell people this is the architecture we're talking about. From one stone we craft it. We craft our bare hands and mix any kind of language that you want. Because believe it or not, my dear students, stone can produce a magical musician sounds. Or maybe a furniture that you want to go ahead. Basic fundamentals. But again, the way we craft it and use a basic sentiment of these materials. adaptation of design of these materials, we have to respect this and give a symbol behind it that you want to creating a space. Now, I believe that you can understand my message today. Think beyond, then can create a space to people with our own creativity. Do not wait this opportunity. Now is time to create, because architecture is an habitat of sculpture, inspired by the past, built for the future. Thank you.
I think it was an awakening call. Am I right? And I have been hearing a lot of spiritual motivational speakers. For the first time in my life, I have heard from an architecture motivational speaker. And I think amongst all the students, he has tried to develop a killer instinct of being an architect. Thank you, Adrianta. Thanks, Saptan.
Thank you.
For coming and giving an enlightening session to us. Thank you. Friends, amongst us, now we have an architect, golfer, and a writer. Architect Anubhav Mittal from Lucknow. An architect by profession, Mr. Anubhav Mittal graduated from Government College of Architecture, Lucknow in year 1994. And within a year of,